Have you ever wondered why, out of all the hundreds of dramatic television series we have binged over the years, there is one specific couple that stubbornly refuses to leave our minds, no matter how much time passes? Think about it. Even today, years after the original broadcast ended and the cultural dust settled, the mere mention of Emir and Feriha sends an immediate jolt of nostalgia straight through our chests. If you have ever found yourself staying up until 3 in the morning watching fan-made YouTube edit videos of them with swelling instrumental music playing in the background, congratulations, you are officially a card-carrying member of the most resilient and passionate fandom in television history. Today, we are not just reminiscing about the old days, we are diving headfirst into a serious, analytical dissection of the phenomenon. We are exploring the toxic, beautiful, agonizing, and utterly addictive world of Femir. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let us talk about why their chemistry fundamentally changed the television landscape and why no other fictional couple has ever managed to replicate the absolute lightning in a bottle they created on screen. To truly understand the magnetic pull of Emir and Feriha, we have to look past the conventional tropes of romantic dramas. We have all seen the rich boy meets poor girl narrative framework 1,000 times before. It is a classic foundation that writers love to exploit because the built-in conflict is instantly accessible and easy to generate. But what happened between Emir and Feriha was entirely different, transcending the standard clichés. It was not merely about a gap in social standing or disparities in bank accounts. It was an explosive, volatile collision of two completely different psychological universes. On one side, you had Emir, a golden boy draped in elite privilege, surrounded by endless luxury, yet drowning in a silent, invisible ocean of emotional isolation. He lived in a world where everything was instantly available to him, which made him deeply cynical, fiercely protective of his own heart and utterly bored by superficial perfection. On the other side, you had Feriha, a young woman living in the literal basement of that very same glamorous apartment building, carrying the crushing weight of her family honor, living behind a heavy curtain of suffocating secrets, and constantly terrified that her true reality would be violently exposed to the people she feared the most. The brilliance of their evolving dynamic lay in the fact that their mutual attraction was never born from comfort or ease, it was forged from a profound, instinctive recognition of each other's hidden pain. When Emir looked at Feriha, he did not just see a pretty face standing in a crowded room. He saw an impenetrable mystery that challenged his entire worldview. Feriha represented a raw, unfiltered humanity that he desperately craved beneath the glittering, artificial facade of his wealthy social circle. And for Feriha, Emir represented a golden passport to a world she was strictly forbidden to enter, a breathtaking escape from the cramped, stifling boundaries of her everyday existence, but also the ultimate source of her greatest terror. Every single interaction between them crackled with an underlying tension that felt genuinely dangerous. It was never safe. Loving each other felt like walking barefoot across a field of sharp, broken glass, and that precise element of peril is why audiences could not look away. The drama was relentless, fueled not by minor misunderstandings or petty jealousy, but by fundamental, irreconcilable truths that neither of them was initially brave enough or free enough to articulate. Let us talk candidly about the lies, because the foundation of their relationship was built on a crumbling, unstable mountain of deception, and yet, against all logical reasoning, we forgave it all. Feriha entering Emir's privileged world by letting him believe she came from a wealthy background was a narrative ticking time bomb from the very first episode. Every single fabricated detail she uttered was a heavy stone added to the walls separating them, but ironically, it was also the exact catalyst that forced them into each other's orbit. As viewers, we sat on the edge of our seats, our hearts pounding into our throats, torn between screaming at the screen for her to finally confess the truth and desperately rooting for them to have just one more moment of pure, unadulterated happiness before the inevitable, catastrophic collapse. That delicious tension is what separates a mediocre romance from a legendary one. The creative team behind the series mastered the art of emotional torture, pacing every revelation with surgical precision. Just when you thought things could not possibly get any worse, just when you thought the secret was safe, another layer of deception would peel back, exposing raw nerves and deepening the wound. If you are enjoying this deep, analytical dive into the psychology of our favorite television couple, take a quick second right now to hit that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. At what exact moment in the series did you realize you were completely and hopelessly obsessed with Femir? Drop your stories down there, because I read every single one of them. Now, let us examine the sheer intensity of their emotional connection, because what truly elevated this relationship was the rich, non-verbal language they shared in every single scene. Think about the way Emir looked at Feriha. It was a gaze that could dismantle the strongest armor in existence. It was possessive, deeply tender, furious, heartbroken, and utterly devoted all at once. There was a fierce, unwavering protectiveness in his eyes that made every viewer feel safe by proxy. He fought for her against the entire world, often even fighting against Feriha herself when her own deep-seated insecurities and consuming fears tried to sabotage what they had built. And Feriha, with her intensely expressive eyes that conveyed 1,000 unspoken words of guilt, longing, and fierce pride, matched his emotional intensity beat for beat. Their chemistry was not manufactured in a corporate boardroom, it was an organic, combustible fusion of raw talent and absolute commitment to their characters' emotional reality. They did not just play lovers on a script, they inhabited two wandering souls recognizing each other across an insurmountable chasm. Consider the sheer volume of obstacles they had to face together. It was never just about external enemies, though there was certainly no shortage of toxic individuals trying to tear them apart with venomous gossip, malicious schemes, and relentless societal judgment. The most devastating battles they fought were entirely internal. Feriha internalizing her shame, carrying the unbearable guilt of disappointing her traditional family while desperately trying to claim a love she felt she fundamentally did not deserve, created a tragic heroine archetype that stayed with us long after the credits rolled. She was deeply flawed, stubborn, terrified, and painfully human. She made catastrophic mistakes, she lied, she pushed him away when she needed him the most, and yet we never stopped rooting for her redemption and her ultimate happiness. Emir, on the other hand, had to endure a painful evolution, learning that true love is not about possessing someone or shielding them from every harsh reality of life, but about standing firmly beside them through the raging fire, even when that fire threatens to consume you both. The intrigue surrounding their story was also heavily amplified by the oppressive environment of the elite neighborhood and the apartment building they inhabited, which practically functioned as a living, breathing character in its own right. That building was a pressure cooker of judgment, gossip, and vicious classism. Every wealthy neighbor, every snobbish acquaintance, and every family member acted as a harsh magnifying glass, watching their every move and waiting eagerly for the scandal to break. This heightened the dramatic stakes exponentially. Every stolen glance in the hallway, every secret meeting in a parked car, and every whispered promise of forever carried the literal weight of life and death. The dramatic ironies were crafted with such exquisite precision that you felt every single emotional blow right along with the characters. When they suffered, we suffered. When they experienced even a fleeting moment of joy, like dancing together in a quiet room far away from the judging eyes of the harsh world, we held our breath, desperately wishing time would freeze in place. Let us also address the incredible, enduring cultural impact of this pairing. Years after the series concluded its original run, the digital footprint of Emir and Feriha continues to expand globally across international borders. Fans across different continents, speaking entirely different languages, continue to discover their timeless story every single day. Why does this phenomenon happen? Because fundamental human emotions are universal. The agonizing fear of not being enough, the profound pain of loving someone from an entirely different social background, the relentless struggle for personal identity, and the intoxicating, dizzying rush of a first, all-consuming love are themes that never go out of style. The internet remains flooded with fan-made music videos generating millions of views, comment sections filled with emotional, thousand-word essays analyzing every single micro-expression, and continuous, passionate debates about how the narrative unfolded. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that some fictional couples achieve a permanent, untouchable status in pop culture mythology. They become the golden benchmark against which all other television romances are measured. Think about the sheer heartbreak, too. A truly great romance requires great sorrow to resonate deeply, and Femir delivered heartbreak on an epic, operatic scale. The heavy tragedy that perpetually shadowed their love story gave it a bittersweet permanence that lingers in the memory. It taught us that intense love often demands heavy sacrifice, and that human pride can be a devastating weapon when wielded against the person you cherish most above all others. Yet, despite the endless tears and the grueling nights of emotional turmoil, we would not change a single second of their journey. Because through all the chaotic noise, the tangled lies, the bitter tears, and the insurmountable odds, their love remained a roaring, unstoppable fire burning fiercely in the middle of a freezing winter storm. It was passionate, it was fierce, and it was entirely unforgettable. If you have watched this far with me, I know you share this deep obsession. Drop a comment below telling me your absolute favorite moments from their journey, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel so we can continue exploring these iconic television milestones together. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep holding on to the stories that make you feel truly alive.